Welcome to Future of Flushing. I'm Vito Calisi. With me to the right is Jonathan Barron. With me to the left is Kevin Parada. We're at the Arizona Fall League over in, you guessed it, Arizona. Kevin, it's your first full year pro ball. You're here at the Arizona Fall League now, so an extended first full year pro ball. How has that journey been from then to now?
It's been a huge learning experience, obviously starting at big league camp and spring training, and then playing my first full year going from high A to double A, and then now playing in the fall league against a bunch of guys that are, I'd say more than most are probably going to be in the big leagues at some point in the next couple of years. It's an awesome experience, not a lot of guys get to say they get to do stuff like this, and when you look at it, hindsight, like we're playing and it's, almost November, but if you want to win a championship at the big league level, like you're going to be going from spring training all the way through this time period right now.
Speaking of spring training, you and I chatted back, I think it was February, a long time ago. You were in big league camp with the Mets. You were working with some future Hall of Famers and a bunch of other great players. So now that you look back on that experience, what was it like? What did you learn? And how did it help you prepare for the 2023 season?
It's a lot of process oriented. You play so many games that, one, you can't really day to day worry about your stats. It's not, I'd say in college, it was one of those things that you need to perform in college right away because it's a much shorter season. So if you have a bad week, you have a bad 2 weeks, it kind of defines how your season went, where right now it's you're going to have your ups and downs. There's so many games. We're playing, I don't even know how many games I played this year. But it's staying with what your foundation is, and you're going to have to tweak things throughout because that's part of playing the game of adjustments. But seeing the big leaguers, the biggest thing was they stuck to their process every single day in camp, and it didn't matter if it was a pitcher throwing off the mound that day or a guy hitting in the cage that day. It's they stick to it and they make minor adjustments throughout the time, but for the most part, it's their foundational part of it is always the same for how whatever works for them. And so that's the thing that I learned the most, is that it's and something I strive to continue to grow is where can I become foundationally better and know that it's if things aren't going my way so much, I can lean back on this and know that in the long run, over the course of 162 games or a span like that, it's going to work out in my favor.
Now, as John said, you got to work with a bunch of pro ballers, future Hall of Famers in spring training. You also got to spend the entire season, a good part of the season, working with some incredible players in the Mets system, especially when you were with the Binghamton Rumble Ponies.
Yep.
Tell us what it was like from the catcher's perspective, having a battery mate and seeing this lineup of guys that could possibly be the future of the Mets rotation.
It's impressive watching them, what they were doing in Binghamton. Every guy was nasty. They had good stuff. They were, in my opinion, very easy to catch. Obviously, as you continue to keep going up in levels, it gets easier and easier because guys know what they're trying to accomplish and everything. And I thought they were honestly a very mature staff. For what they do between Dom, Christian Scott, Blade, Tyler Stewart, Paul Gervais, you name them, they just went about their business. They knew what they were trying to accomplish, and obviously they're tweaking things because they still have a journey and a goal to get to just as much as I do. But they were there every day doing their thing, and they competed, and that's honestly, as a catcher, all I can ask for in the end is if a guy's out there competing, then there's whatever happens because baseball changes all the time.
Now, speaking of catching, obviously you're a catcher, as we know, but your mom, she didn't want you to be a catcher when you were growing up.
She did.
So how did you win that battle with your mom to become a catcher and be where you are right now?
I've not won many battles with my mom.
It's one of those things that my mom thought the reverse psychology of fine, after saying no so many times, I'll let you do it. You're not gonna like it, and then and then you're just gonna find another position on the field. And then it was kind of funny that I just ended up falling in love with it and happened to be pretty good at it. So that always helps. And I've played other positions. I like playing it's not like I just wanted to catch when I was younger. I loved playing everywhere, but it just happened to be my home.
And what is it about catching that you love so much? You're kind of the field captain out there, as Vito said. You're working with the pitchers and the catcher controlling the game. What is it about catching that Kevin Parada loves so much?
That is the part right there, is controlling the game, having a say of like, all right, I'm putting this finger down for this reason, or because I think this, like, that's the game within the game that a lot of people don't understand. And I've learned, that's actually one thing I learned from a lot of big leaguers, is once you're at that level, like, everybody knows what you're good at. Everybody knows what you have or what that is. And now it just becomes that game of chess of like, all right, like, I'm going to throw this pitch probably in this count. Now, am I going to execute it or not? And if I don't as a hitter, I'm going to do damage. If not, vice versa, the pitcher's got me out. And so I think that's like the coolest part about it, is there's such a big chess game that a lot of normal fans may not understand when you first look at it, and why baseball is so hard. Is like, it's already physically hard to do and put bat on ball, but then now you're playing a chess game, and especially as a catcher, when you know a pitch is coming and the guy still executes it and still gets you out, you're like, it's hard, especially hitting.
And another wrinkle to that, I don't know how much experience you have with it, is the automatic ball strike system, which they're using in AAA some days of the week. They're using in Florida State League.
Yeah.
Does that add another element of that chess game, framing, calling pitches, knowing that sometimes it's the home plate umpire that's calling balls and strikes? Other times it's IBM Watson.
Yeah. Sometimes I've used it a little bit between a couple games here in the Fall League and Low A in St. Lucie. We had it. And I honestly loved the challenge system. Like, I thought it was one of those things that was really awesome, because you don't take the human element out of it from the umpire necessarily. It's like, but it gives you the opportunity to be like, no, I'm pretty adamant that was a strike, or I'm pretty adamant that was a ball. And you have the opportunity to overturn. I thought it was a really cool little aspect of it, because it's like, all right, framing still matters. The umpires still, for the most part, especially at this league, they're pretty good. But it's like, every once in a while, they might miss a call, and that call might be able to change the game. And if you have the wherewithal to be like, no, that was a strike, or no, that was a ball, it could completely turn an at-bat. It could turn how a game goes. So I think it's a really cool wrinkle that I believe will be added in the future. And I think it's an important thing as a catcher, especially, to continue to understand.
The rule changes that are coming out over the last few years and in the future all have a direct impact on the catcher specifically. I mean, the pitch comm system almost, for some people, takes away some control of the catcher at the major league level. How do you feel about the pitch comm usage?
I think it's honestly very useful. Like, you press a button and this is the pitch I want, because it's the same game. It's just now, instead of putting a signal down between your legs, you're just pressing a button, and if the pitcher's like, no, I don't want that, do something else. And now, I mean, I know it takes away from the, like, runner on second trying to, like, steal a sign from the catcher and a couple other things, but, you know, I think it's a very efficient, easy way, and especially less opportunities to get crossed up, because that's one of the safety things that I think people might not necessarily understand. But it's like, if it's a night that it's hard to see, and pitcher doesn't see a curveball or a fastball as well, and doesn't know exactly, it's like, the last thing you want is someone getting hurt because the wrong pitch is coming. So I think it's very useful and very helpful.
Now, we spoke about your style and about how important you found the relationships. What has it been like working here, other catchers from other organizations here? Have you gotten to talk game, figure out what other people do, see how you can impart that into your game?
Yeah, you talk to everybody about everything. I think that's the coolest thing about baseball, is you learn from your peers just as much as you would learn from a coach, if not maybe more. I've had peers that are in their 40s at spring training, and guys now that it's like we're all around the same age. But you get to learn from all different walks of life, different things that people have learned, how different people see things, and it's just, you just get to learn. And that's the coolest thing about baseball, is that something might apply to you, or something might work for you that someone else has learned in their life, and other times it doesn't. And that's why we're different, and that's why baseball is a unique game.
Who have been some of the most impactful people on your career to this point, whether it's guys you've met along the way, teammates, coaches, mentors, whatever it might be?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, first of all, it's my family. I mean, obviously, if they don't support you through everything that you go through, between paying for the travel ball games all the way to like supporting you to go to college away from home and different stuff, like I definitely wouldn't be in the spot that I am now.
Cleaning catcher pads. That's why she didn't want you to be catching.
Yeah. You need the knee savers too. I don't know if I might be aging myself, but some of the catcher gear in Little League didn't have the knee savers.
Yeah.
And like I'm 32 and my knees are shot already.
I rarely actually use knee savers.
Really?
Yeah.
How are your knees?
Feel fine.
All right.
Yeah. I think you just get used to it. So maybe there's the aches and pains that I just don't notice because of what I do. But yeah, when mom cleans your dirty white pants every night for the next game, and they're white again, like, you know, it's little things like that. Like sometimes you just look in perspective and you're like, I didn't thank my mom or dad enough, but they've always been supportive. My hitting coach, Al Quintana, like I've worked with him for I think since I was 10 years old. So it's been a really long time. Yeah. And he knows my swing better than anybody. So it's awesome getting to work with people like that. And, you know, like in the Mets organization right now, like our catching coordinator, Bob Nadel, has been awesome to work with for me because he's done it before. He's had guys that have learned from him that have been in the big leagues. And he just takes all the different perspectives, likes to learn. And like I said, we'll bounce things off different catchers of like, hey, this worked for this guy, maybe it'll work for you. And he's like, it's not always necessarily true, but I think those are some people that in baseball, at least so far in my experience, I've been super thankful for.
At the end of the season, you get promoted to Binghamton, a team that was on the verge of the playoffs. They make the playoffs, they win a round. What was that experience like for you, getting a taste of that, important baseball type games?
Yeah, I got the opportunity last year to win a championship with Low A, so it's like we got to play some important baseball games. And, nothing is like playoff baseball. Like, yeah, we play 140 games, but everybody knows that the playoff games matter a little bit more. Everything's the stakes are higher, everything is higher. So it's every opportunity that you get to play, even if it's a minor league game or a big league game, like everything in between, it's all important. And I love that atmosphere. I know watching the Phillies and Diamondbacks last night, you see Citizens Bank Park and you're just like, that could be next year, that could be in a couple years, who knows? But seeing that crowd and that atmosphere, it gives you a little bit something to play for. And you're like, no wonder why guys want to win a championship or even make the playoffs to get an opportunity, because you roll the dice once you're there. You just got to get there.
And we're in Arizona right now where the World Series is about to take place. Has being here and feeling that energy of the city and looking forward to what this place might look like next week kind of had an impact on you at all, and being like, I would love to help New York get this feeling when I make it up there?
Yeah, I mean, you watch it on TV all the time, and it's like, why not our organization? And it's like, obviously, we got guys that weren't Mets and now are Mets, and we got guys that are homegrown like I am so far, and it's like, why can't we take this organization to the next level to go win a championship or put ourselves in a position where you can roll the dice at the end? And I mean, it's a little bit of luck, but whatever happens, and just having that opportunity. And I mean, if you can get an opportunity to fill up Citi Field like Citizens Bank was last night, then who knows what could happen. And
something you just said, we've said all year. I mean, like you said, all this talent comes in this year, all this talent we have in this organization right now. It's just been so much fun to watch. And all season on our nightly podcast, we said, fans, take note of this Rumble Ponies lineup, because this could be a team that we're talking about in 2028. We could be saying it all started here at the Rumble Ponies with guys like you, guys like Christian Scott, guys like Paul Gervais, all these names. It's just a really exciting time to be a Mets fan, and you're a part of that.
What's your message to Met fans in terms of the future? The 2023 season's about to end. You're a huge part of it, like Vito just said. All the talent that you've played in with the St. Lucie Mets, the Brooklyn Cyclones, now the Binghamton Rumble Ponies, all you guys kind of moving up the ranks together. How excited should Mets fans be for the future, in the opinion of Kevin Parada?
I think they should be excited. You know, obviously we want to win, and like last year, they wanted to win last year, and things came short, but that's not. I know that the Mets have something going where it's like winning is there. It's going to happen. I truly believe it's going to happen. When, I don't know. But that's the thing is like I think we're putting the pieces in the right place where hopefully in the next few years things do go in the way that we want them to go as a player and also as a little bit of a fan. That it's like I want the Mets to win. I want them to compete, and it's like, and I would absolutely would love to be a part of that.
Now, this is going to be a hard transition, but before we started talking, we were chatting, kicking it around a little bit, and we found out you're a huge hockey guy.
Yeah.
And for all the listeners of Future of Flushing, I'm a big hockey guy too.
Guy loves hockey.
I don't stop talking about hockey. It's like It's a hockey podcast with a little Mets minor league action on the side.
Sometimes we talk Jets.
We talk a lot of football too. We'll get to that in 1 second. But so I'm curious. You're a catcher. You wear all the pads, all the gear. And I would have to imagine that if you were a hockey player, that means that you'd be a goalie, right? It's
Absolutely
apples.
not.
What do you mean?
I would rather score goals. I mean, it's like hitting home runs, you know?
I mean, I
like,
get it, but...
Like, would you rather... I mean, it's cool to be...
I feel like your mom got in your head with the catcher thing, and it's going over the goalie thing now.
Yeah. I think being a goalie is a little bit different than being than being a catcher.
No, you're squatting, you're in a bunch of pads, and you're standing in front of an object. Same thing.
Yeah, I think it's it's apples to that. I've always thought to be a goalie, you've got to be a little bit sick in the head. I
do believe
right?
that.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm sick enough in the head
to be a catcher. You got some pretty fast balls coming at you.
Yeah. You know, it's one of those things that if I had the opportunity, I would rather score goals than stop goals.
Oh, and I guess this lines up because I'll ask you this question I asked you in spring training. Would Kevin Parada rather throw a would-be base stealer out for the final out of a game, which I think you did in spring training actually after I asked you the question, or hit a walk-off home run? What's the answer, Kevin?
Hit a walk-off home run.
There you go. Offense first, right? Defense is important too.
It's both important, but I mean, there's nothing like a walk-off homer, and there's probably nothing like scoring a goal in hockey.
We asked Nolan McLean, the two-way player, the same question, and he undoubtedly instantly said walk-off home run too. So I feel like there aren't too many people that wouldn't say.
Well, his was strikeout. His was getting a strikeout, not throwing. Yeah. And before we get out of there, we do want to give some Mets fans, Jets fans a connection. Chargers fan right here. We're bonded by the LaDainian Tomlinson brotherhood.
Yep.
How long have you been a Chargers fan?
I don't even know. I mean, I grew up in LA, and San Diego was close by, but I just remember playing Madden 07 all the time with LaDainian Tomlinson, and that halfback sweep worked way too well. But yeah, now obviously they're in LA, but I haven't really got to catch a game yet at the stadium. So that might be something I might do this offseason.
But you're sticking with them, right? Like through thick and thin, no matter what. Because the Charger fan base right now, they're left fans.
What do I got to lose at this point, you know?
I like that.
I like a guy that doesn't leave his team.
Yeah, it's just like, will I go to a Jets game if someone invites me? Absolutely.
We'll invite you.
Yeah, like I'm not against going to games or other teams because I just love going to sports games.
Sure.
Same thing with hockey. Like, I'm a Kings fan, but if someone from the Rangers was like, "Hey, we want you to come to a game," I'm not saying no.
Of course.
But yeah, I'm a Chargers fan at heart.
So we'll bring you to a Jets game. It's not going to be a good. I mean, we're going to be sitting all the way up top, but I mean, it's going to be a good time. You know, we're going to watch the Jets win some football games this year.
That's right. So if you had to pick between the Jets and the Giants with a little New York twist, I'm assuming it would be the Jets. Am I pushing you in that direction for you to just say yes?
I mean, sure, we'll go with the Jets. I'm indifferent. I'll go to either game, but
very political.
Yeah.
Smart guy. Well, we have one last question for you. Arizona Fall League is going to wrap up in November. Then it's back to work, getting ready for spring training. What are the biggest things you're going to work on during the winter to be ready for when you report to Port St. Lucie?
I think it's just reassessing after the year, see what worked, what didn't work, and then how can I build off those? Like I said, find a couple foundational pieces between swing, catching, whatever it is, that I can really hammer out and So it's like when we play 162 games or 140 or whatever it is throughout the year, like I've got something to rely on and really hammer those out to get ready for spring training and get ready to go.
Well, dude, thanks so much for joining us. We're looking forward to seeing that next season. Looking forward to everything to come from you, and see you in the future.
Thank you.